Warning: this video contains profane language that may offend you. If you don't like to hear cuss words being spoken, you may want to watch another video. What's up, everybody, and welcome to Survive and Protect. This is case study number 2, and what I want to show you guys is a couple of videos. One is about 30 seconds long and the other one's about 3 minutes long. And I'm going to show you guys some strategies and some options on how to deal with a situation like this or something similar. All right, this happened in my city, the city I'm living in now, and it was a shooting at a nightclub, all right? Or not inside the nightclub, but this was outside in the parking lot area or the immediate surroundings of the nightclub. All right, and like I said, I want to give you guys some strategies every time we do case studies. I want to give you guys some options and some strategies that will keep you guys safe and keep your family safe if your family happens to be with you, all right? Or if you're by yourself, I want to give you some strategies and some options, all right? So I'm going to play video number 1, and this is going to set the stage. I'm probably not even going to comment too much about it. Probably very little comment. And then we're going to go into video number 2. If you guys are wanting to know more about this particular incident, I'm not going to go into any details as to what started it, what was the issue. You guys can go here, as you see, thetimesfreepress.com, and you see the title there. You can go up there and read it on your own leisure, and then maybe you can come back again and watch the video a second time, and it'll kind of give you a broader perspective, a broader understanding, all right? So let's get into it. I'm going to play this first video. Like I said, it's 30 seconds long, all right? And let's check it out. There you go, setting the stage for you. Again, not too much to say other than things can happen at split second, and so one of the things to keep in mind is your awareness has to be top notch, or you have to be very aware at all times, all right? Aware and alert. So as you've seen it, that's the first video, and I'm going to get into the second one and do some commentary. What I'm going to do first is play it all the way through, and then we're going to go through it a second time and kind of pick out some points and give you guys some strategies and some options, all right? So let's check it out. All right, everybody, this is video number 2, all right? And before I get started playing the video, I want to let you guys know again that this video contains a lot of profanity, a lot of cuss words. So if you guys are offended by that type of language, you might want to either turn the volume down or just not watch the video at all. But I guarantee you're going to get some great information by listening to it. So if you can, try to overlook the cuss words, and when I start giving you the strategies and some options on how to deal with situations like this, focus more on that as opposed to just to the bad language, so to speak, to other people. All right. So again, this video is going to be about 3 minutes long, and you're not going to see much as far as visuals. You're going to do more. You're going to see a real short amount of visuals, but it's going to be more auditory. Okay, you'll be able to hear, because the video goes into from showing a few people for a few seconds, and then once everything gets chaotic, the video is not pointed in the area where it's lighted, so there's going to be very little visuals in regards to that. But I guarantee you guys will get something out of this video. I'm going to do my best to do that. And so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and play this video, all right?
Everybody just stay down, y'all, for real. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I knew it. I fucking knew it.
Ooh.
Can we leave?
Yes, real, go.
We need to make sure it's cool to go, though.
Go, I'm saying go.
I gotta get up to lay down. No, hell no. We need to wait till they leave. We like in a good spot. Because if we leave, we gonna be in crossfire, Talia. You gotta think about that shit.
Okay, be quiet, bro.
I can help you down. We gotta get on. I'm cool with this shit. I'm cool with this shit. You hear how many fucking shots that was?
And they still outside the goddamn door like they ain't shooting.
Okay, bro, come on.
I'm not going to that clear out.
Okay, bro, come on.
Bro, they fucking right there. Why would we fucking move?
Shh. Oh my God.
Oh shit.
Oh my God, they right there.
Man, that's these white boys. Damn.
Oh my God, back out, real something, back out, try to back out.
Bro, you can back out.
Bro.
These just the white boys.
Okay, but I can't. I'm not finna sit up, y'all.
Why would you not try to fucking back out? You gonna sit right here in front of the fucking gun. If you don't back this motherfucking car out, bring y'all.
I'm trying to get out. Shut the fuck up.
Okay, you still sit right there.
Damn.
In front of the goddamn gun. He might as well shoot your ass in the motherfucking face.
Okay, just don't wreck.
You gonna sit right there.
Girl, you shut the fuck up for real before we all fucking crash. Like, shut the fuck up.
You should
I'm
have
dead ass serious. Shut the fuck up, Chantel. Shut the fuck up, bro, for real. I don't give a fuck. I'm the motherfucking driver. If I sit up and I get motherfucking shot, then what, bitch? Fuck is you talking about? Fuck is you talking? You on the ground. You on the ground telling me to sit the fuck up, but your ass on the motherfucking ground.
You in front of the fucking wheel.
It don't fucking matter.
I don't give a fuck. You on. Please.
Tell that hoe to stop talking to me for real, bro.
Fuck, I don't gotta do shit.
She want to motherfucking argue and people shooting. Bitch, you stupid.
Bitch, you stupid for sitting in front of the
talking
gun. You could have bagged up and on my way.
All right, folks, you've seen the video in its entirety. And now let's do some analyzing of the video and do some breakdowns. And then once I get done here, then I'm going to show you guys some options and strategies. All right, so I showed you the first video. It was a 30-second video, and then we go into this one. This one kind of follows the first one. It actually has basically all the same people in it. So you've seen the quick 30-second, and then you've seen this 3-minute one. All right, so let's go real quick, and let's go into this video and break some things down here, okay? All right, you see, first of all, these two guys, I don't know if there was a confrontation between them earlier, or they're trying to discuss some things, trying to talk some things out or not. It appears that it looks like it might be some confrontation between them, or there's something trying to get brewed up. Again, maybe they're just trying, maybe one is trying to discuss something with the other to get something cleared up. That I couldn't tell you. But from a standpoint of protection, first of all, both of their hands are down. One doesn't know if the other one's going to attack them physically or pull out a weapon. So one of the things you got to be concerned with, and always keep in mind, you see this in my videos, you see this in the beginning titles of my videos, you'll see where it says watch the hands. So it's very important to watch the hands. Now, the guy without the shirt, at some point he's going to turn around. Now, we don't know if he has a gun on him. We don't know if that's the person that starts shooting. But again, like I said, he turns around, and then once the guy with no shirt turns around, the guy with the shirt on, the black guy, is he paying attention or still keeping aware of where this guy's hands are at? All right. So that's one thing to consider with anybody. You always got to watch what their hands are doing. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back a little bit. right? And to just repeat again the importance of being aware of your surroundings, being aware of the immediate environment, the location, the actions of the people. All right, you got to be aware of what people are doing, their actions. All right, always got to be mindful of that, because in a split second, as you see in this video, all of a sudden shots start ringing out. All right, so let's break this down some more.
Everybody just stay down, y'all, for real. Oh my God.
All right, you hear the girl say, I'm gonna rewind it a little bit. You hear one of the young ladies say, everybody just stay down. Now, from what I can gather, when I showed the video the first time, it appears that a car is nearby, right? So apparently they all run to this car, and then as you see the video go along, it appears that they actually got in the car. So apparently the car belongs to one of the three girls that you hear talking on the video. So I don't know, at that point they just ducked down beside the car, or they actually all jumped in, and then when they jumped in, they all kind of ducked down and hunched down. So we don't see it in the video, but you can kind of get that they got in the car at some point and they all began ducking down. All right. So I want to make that point real quick before I go on and play the video, is that that's mistake number one, and maybe you shouldn't get inside of a car, especially when you hear the gunshots ringing out. They sounded like they was pretty close. So the best thing to do is, yes, get cover. I wouldn't suggest going inside of a car or any vehicle at that point. I suggest that you would use the vehicle as cover, and then while you're doing that, start being aware of where some other cover is, because it's more important to get further away, as far away from the gunshots as possible. So the car might be the starting point as your cover, so if any bullets start flying, you can be protected. And I'll show you later on, but the best places to duck down if you're going to use car as cover is around the engine block area, because it has all your hardware basically as far as the car goes and as far as protection goes. All right, it has your engine, it has all these different parts in it, and so if bullets start hitting, it's more likely that they're going to start hitting those parts before it even gets to you. All right, nothing is 100% guaranteed, but you have a big higher percentage of not getting shot if you are in the engine block area. So mainly the engine block area is the front of the car. So you can, depending on where the shots are coming from, you want to get on the opposite side of that vehicle near the engine area, near the front hood area. All right. A secondary place to go is where the tires are, okay? Because you have quite a bit of metal there as well. All right. Most cars today are not made of steel and not built. They might have certain parts of the vehicle that still have some steel in them, but the majority of vehicles today are not made of steel. So you can't just stand by a door and think you're going to be protected. You can't get inside of a car because you have the windows, bullets can go through that. You can have the doors, bullets can go through that. And your best bet, in a sense, in a small little way, depending on where the shots are coming from, and that's why I say getting in a car is not the best idea. But if you're going to get in the car, you want to duck down in that front seat, because that's where the engine is going to be at. But you're also forgetting that bullets might come from the sides. It might come from some weird angles if it's not hitting the front, and it could also come through the back. So that's why I say getting in the car is not even a good option at all, okay? But if that's what you did, the best you can try to do is duck under that floorboard in the front, because that's where all the engine and everything is at, engine parts. So if you're lucky and no one's shooting from behind you, if you're lucky and they're shooting from in the front or some angle that goes towards the front, you might be protected that way. But I don't suggest you go into a car. I suggest you go ahead and use the car if that's the closest thing to you as cover. And while I'm on that real quick, you have cover and concealment, okay? Cover is, quote, I put my fingers up in quotes. When you have cover, what it's doing is it's protecting you from gunfire, all right? So cover is going to be more protective from some harmful stuff like gunshots, bullets, and concealment doesn't protect you from things like that, all right? So concealment is just mainly hiding. So you can use the car to hide yourself, but that doesn't protect you from any gunshots per se, all right? So with that being said, I'm going to play the video again, and let's talk about this some more.
Everybody just stay down, y'all, for real. Oh my God. Oh my God. I knew it. I fucking knew it. Ooh. Can we leave here? Real go. We need to make sure it's cool to go though.
All right, again, I'm going to put this back a little bit, but here's the point what I was talking about that definitely gives you an indication that they are in the car, as opposed when they started out, they were saying, just one of the girls was saying, stay down. Now, if they were outside of the car at that point, staying down is cool, and while you're doing that, if there's a lull or a silence for the gunshots, then that's when you might want to take a chance to start looking around for your next place of cover. And if the gunshots are not going, you want to take your chance and start heading to your next spot where you can hide to your next cover spot or go to your next cover spot. All right, so I'm gonna put this back a little bit and play it again. But it's obviously in this particular part of the video that they have gotten to a car, and that's not a great idea. All right, not a great strategy at all, or a great option.
Can we leave here? Real go. We need to make sure it's cool to go though. Go. I'm saying go. I gotta get up to lay down. No.
All right. So one girl is telling the other girl, come on, let's go, back your car up or pull forward, whichever one the case may be. And the other one is starting to kind of, well, she's not too confident, and she says, I got to get up in order to back up. And the other one's telling her, hey, look, you got this time. And so one is telling the other, let's go, but they're still not aware of the surroundings and what's going on and where the actions of the people are. So they're probably ducked down, and they might have looked up for a second, or they might have been ducked down and didn't hear any more bullets flying. So they like, go on, go, it's time to go, let's go. And before you make any moves, you want to make sure, again, you got to know the actions of the people. You got to know what the people are doing so you can make your next move, all right? So being aware of what's going on and being aware of where everybody's at, where everybody's positioned at, will give you an idea of where you need to start moving next, if you need to back your car out of there or not. All right?
We need to make sure it's cool to go though. I'm saying go. I gotta get up to lay down. No, hell no. We need to wait till they leave. We like in a good spot, because if we leave, we're gonna be in crossfire to live. You gotta think about that. Okay, be quiet, bro.
Now the girl mentioned something about we got to be careful about leaving because we get caught in the crossfire. Now, I don't know if this girl is familiar with guns and how people shoot and knowing what being caught in a crossfire is. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. But at the same time, does she know where everybody is at to determine if they're going to get caught in the crossfire? Now, again, with this video, being that most of it was recorded in a dark area, it's hard to see where they are positioned at, where the people are shooting at, where the shooters are positioned at. Is there a way for them to back up? Is there space behind them, a parking lot space, or is it just grass? Is it a curb and then grass? Because and that's something to keep in mind too, is that you might have to back out of places that are not normal for your car to be backing out of. Like going up against a curb and then backing down some grass to get out of an area. It might just be a parking lot or a street right there, so you might be good on that and just backing out and going down, backing up to another corner and then turning down that street. That might be the case. So again, this girl is talking about getting caught in the crossfire, but we don't know where the shooters are positioned at this time. So with that being said, let me go back here a little bit and play. And one more other thing is that when things like this happens, everybody, I don't care who it is, even professional people who are knowledgeable about protection and things like that, you're going to get into a certain mode in your mind. Your body starts putting you in, this is a natural thing with everybody. You're going to either get in a fight mode. You're going to become, you all know what fight mode is. You're prepared to go to, whether it's with your hands or with weapons or whatever, you're prepared to fight. You're going to go into a flight mode, which means you're just ready to take off out of there to get away from danger, right? Or you're going to end up being in a freeze mode. So you got the 3 F's: fight, flight, or freeze. And you can tell by listening to this video, the person who's supposed to be driving, just through their conversations, it seems like she's more in a freeze mode, and the other girl or the other 2 girls are more in a flight mode. But they're depending on this girl that's in a freeze mode to get them out of there, when they're in flight mode. So you can tell by the conversation who's in the freeze mode and who's in a flight mode. And then when you're in that state and everybody's kind of in different modes, it starts developing chaos among each other, and you don't have, and being that there's no plan, which that's another key point to bring up. They had no plan when they was there. They didn't decide ahead of time, if this happens, come up with some scenarios, which anybody can do. Don't think because you're not military, you're not CIA, you're not FBI, you're not police, you're not in any branch of law enforcement at all, that you can't come up and create scenarios and create plans to deal with these scenarios. But it's obvious here that neither one of them decided ahead of time, just amongst them talking to themselves, just hanging around on the block or in their house with their friends, and just say, hey, what happens, what do you think we can do or we should do if this happens? Nobody's going through that. And it just takes a few minutes of discussion and maybe a little running yourself through some drills in case you get into a real situation like that. But it's obvious in this video that they didn't have that particular type of training or particular type of discussion. All right?
Get up to that damn. No, hell no. We need to wait till they leave. We like in a good spot. Because if we leave, we're going to be in crossfire to me. You got to think about that shit. Okay, be quiet, bro. You hear how many fucking shots that was? And they still outside the goddamn door like they ain't shooting. Okay, bro. I'm not going to that clear out. Okay.
Now, I'm going to put this back a little bit. Now, the girl said, I'm not going to a clear out. Which I was saying earlier, if they wouldn't have went in the car to begin with, they wouldn't have to worry about, now they're waiting for the shooters to do their thing before they make a move. I mean, we can look at that as an option, because I am all about options and strategies. So that is an option, but that's not, obviously, as you guys can see, that's not the best option. All right? A better option would have been, as soon as the 5 shots rang out, like I said earlier, they can use that car as the first beginning cover and maybe stay down there and still try to be aware in some type of way, see what everybody's doing without getting yourself too exposed. And then once they see an idea where everybody's at, start planning where their next cover spot is going to be at. And if there's a little lull in the shooting, a stoppage, there's no shooting for a few seconds, that might be the time to go ahead and take off to your next cover spot, because you want to get as far away from the shots as possible, but always finding cover running to another cover spot or a cover area. Don't just run out in the field open with no mindset of finding that next cover spot or cover location. All right. So again, she's waiting on what they will do before she makes her move. So she's got her plan down. The other girls have their plan. Their plan is, hey, let's get out of here. All right.
You hear how many fucking shots that was?
And they still outside the goddamn door like they ain't shit.
I'm not going to that clear out.
Nobody talk to this car on my mama, nigga.
Okay. Bro, they fucking right there. Why would we fucking move? Shh. Oh my god.
Oh shit. Oh my god.
Man, that's these white boys.
Now I'm gonna go back a little bit and play it again. But as you heard there, apparently from what they were saying, I guess the people who were involved in the shooting, or who they suspect or perceive who has been somebody who's been involved in shooting, are moving closer to where their vehicle is, and they're inside the vehicle. So it's obviously they're looking, but they're only looking to see what they're going to do, as opposed to the girls having a plan of their escape. So one of the things to be aware of, and I'll go through it again, is that you always got to have a plan of escape. All right. That's one point. Another point is to have ahead of time come up with some scenarios, create some scenarios that are similar to this. You can use real situations that you've seen on the news or heard on the news or read online and put yourself in that situation. Or you can go from past events that you heard happening in your town, your city, at a club or bar, and put yourself in that scenario, get some of your friends and say, hey, look, let's do this scenario, play this scenario out, and come up with some options as to what we can do in case the situation happens. All right, so again, they're depending on the people that are involved, that are possibly involved in the shooting, and now the people who are involved in it or suspected to be involved, they're dictating what these girls, what moves these girls can make, as opposed to these girls already having a plan or coming up with a plan on the fly. You can still do it on the fly as well. All right, you can assess what's going on at the time, and then based on your assessment right then and there, with the way the situation's happening in real time, based on your assessment, you can come up with, we start thinking of quick plans right away. What's your next move? What's the next cover? That's what we need to run to next. Forget about your car. It might get shot up, it might not. But what's more important is that you're not the one with the holes put in you. Let it be your vehicle, all right? Don't let it be you.
Still outside the goddamn door like they ain't shit.
I'm not going to that clear out.
Nobody talk to this car on my mama, nigga.
Okay. Bro, they fucking right there. Why would we fucking move? Shh. Oh my god.
Oh shit. Oh my god.
Man, that's these white boys. Damn.
Oh my god. Back out. Bring yourself to back out. Try to back out.
Bro, you can back out. Bro, he's just a white boy. Okay, but I can't. I'm not finna sit up, y'all.
Now, all the stresses start coming into play. All right, they have no plan. All right, they didn't come up, they didn't plan nothing ahead of time. They're letting the actions of others dictate what they need to do. And then because you got some that's in flight mode, and you got another one that's in freeze mode, they're now colliding and butting heads with each other. One is telling them, hey, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here, back up, back up. The other one's talking about, well, I am, but wait a minute, I can't. Wait, I'm not going to get up right now. So that person's in freeze mode. The other two girls is more in the flight mode. They telling the homegirl, hey, we got to get out of here. Let's go, back up, back up, back up. So maybe they're seeing an opportunity for her to back up, but because the driver is in freeze mode, she's coming up with all these little quick excuses and reasons why she's not going to do it. Okay, and overall, they're letting the actions of others dictate to them what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. All right? So keep that in mind.
Oh my god. Back out. Bring yourself to back out. Try to back out.
Bro, you can back out. Bro, he's just a white boy. Okay, but I can't. I'm not finna sit up, y'all.
Why would you not try to fucking back out. You gonna sit right here in front of the fucking gun.
No plans at all.
Motherfucking car out, I'm trying to get out. Shut the fuck up. Hey, you still sit right there. Damn. In front of the goddamn gun. He might as well shoot your ass in the fucking gun. Okay, just don't read. You gonna sit right there.
So now one is getting mad with the other one because she's in flight mode. I'm trying to get out of here. Come on, back up. The other one is fighting with her, and so now they're fighting with each other that they're not being aware of what's going on. They might be looking, maybe, we don't know in this video, but you hear more of them arguing with each other because of lack of a plan ahead of time, and because they're in different modes. And I said the 3 modes are fight, flight, or freeze. So you got the drivers in freeze mode, and then you got the friend, or the other 2 girls, the friend, because there's 3 of them total. You got one of the friends is in flight mode, trying to tell a freeze mode, back up, back up. Now another option, is just an option, good, bad, or indifferent. The girl in flight mode could have took over driving. That's an option. That's another strategy to look at. All right, they could have done that. Hey, let's switch seats. But it's going to take one of the persons in there to be calm, to be able to calmly talk to them. Hey, look, so and so, get in the back seat. Such and such, you get in the passenger seat. I'm gonna get in the driver's seat. Talk calmly, because you're coming up with a plan. And when you talk calm and say, hey, I got this plan, I got a plan. Hey, look, let's just do this. Instead of, hey, B, hey, F, this, blah, 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 blah. They're not even coming up with a plan on the fly because of the flight modes, and no one is taking the lead, being the leader in this particular situation. All right?
You still sit right there. Damn. In front of the goddamn gun. He might as well shoot your ass in the fucking gun. Okay, just don't read. You gonna sit right there. Girl, you shut the fuck up for real before we all fucking crash. Like, shut the fuck up. You should have. I'm dead ass serious. Shut the fuck up, Chantel. Shut the fuck up, bro, for real. I don't give a fuck. I'm the one fucking driving. If I sit up and I get my fucking shot, then what, bitch? You gonna sit there. What you talking about? Fuck you. You on the ground. You on the ground telling me to sit the fuck up, but your ass on the motherfucking ground. You in front of the fucking wheel. It don't fucking matter. I don't give a fuck.
Fight mode.
Tell that hoe to stop talking to me
Flight
for real,
mode.
bro. Fuck, I gotta do shit. She want to motherfucking argue and people shooting. Bitch, you stupid. Bitch, you stupid for sitting there for now. You could have bagged up and no more.
All right, there it is. They're doing so much arguing amongst each other that nobody in the group has taken the lead and said, okay, hey, such and such, hey, such and such, calm down. Let's just get out the car and let's get away from the area and we'll come back later. That's an option. That's another strategy. When they got in that argument and there seemed to be a lull or a quietness amongst the shooting, that could have been another option, another plan, another strategy. Hey, look, all right, everybody's arguing, then they should have got to the point, hey, look, let's just stop arguing. Hey, I'm getting out the car, you gonna come with me? I think it's a better way, I think it's a better option to get out the car. We'll come back to the car later. And then whoever's most likely the flight ones, the girls who were in flight mode, are probably going to be more likely to do that. Now, they could have told her, hey, look, we getting out the car. If you're going to stay here, hey, we'll be down on such and such street. If they know their particular areas and locations, hey, pick us up on such and such street. And left the girl who was in freeze mode there. And hope for the best that, you know, if they start shooting again, she doesn't get caught in the crossfires, all right? Or caught with any bullets. So there's my breakdown of the video, and I'm gonna go outside real quick and give you a more visual of how to deal with this particular situation as far as having options. All right, so right now we're outside and got a vehicle right here. We're gonna use this vehicle representing the vehicle that the girls were in, and I'm going to show you some better options to deal with it. I'm going to show you from different angles how to handle a situation similar to that. So because a lot of times the video was dark, we can kind of go by certain scenes of the video as to what happened. So let's just say as close as possible, that the girls were close by their vehicles. Everybody was kind of carrying on, as you've seen in the video. And after a few seconds or so, the shots rang out. So then that's when it kind of started going dark, because the person holding the camera, I guess, was turning and running. So therefore, they were running for cover. So the best thing I could suggest to you guys is that, again, when I talked about cover and concealment, all right, if you see over here that wall right there, it's a brick wall. So if there's a way, just to explain cover and concealment, if there's a way to get behind that wall, and gunshots are, people are shooting guns, you're most likely better protected hiding behind something like that. And again, like I was talking about, when it comes to vehicles, you have the front of the vehicle here, all right? Everything in regards to the engine, you got the engine block, right? You got all that engine here, and all this area here, all right? You got all this engine, everything inside the engine. When those bullets start hitting, it's gonna go through. It'll go through possibly your headlights, or it might get in between here, but it's gonna hit stuff in the engine, all right? So that's a better idea. So let's say that if someone was shooting, right, and it was coming down, from this direction, or people were just over there shooting, period, whether it's coming towards your direction or it's kind of going this way, right, wherever, you want to go ahead and start taking cover, all right? So again, you would take cover here. I would take cover here, all right? This is the engine area, okay? All this area here. And I might peek out, might see where everybody's going. And as the gunshots are ringing out, this is what I would do, all right? Also, you have your tires here, all right? So you got the engine block and you have the tires, all right? So a great way to take cover. And then when to duck down, you don't want, of course, the bullet shots are coming, you want to duck that head. You don't want the bullets hitting your head. So you definitely want to duck under somewhere in the engine block. Now, there's very few cars that have the engines at the back of the vehicle. So if that's the case, and that's the case, that's where you want to go, all right? Other than that, you want to go ahead and take care of the areas here, the engine block areas. And that way, that's your greatest protection. Now, with that being said, let me just lower this down a little bit, all right? So with that being said, let's say that's the case. And again, like I was telling you, here's a great spot to hide out at, or to take cover when there's people shooting, because you have this front where the engine is, all right? So before any bullets get to you, possibly, unless it happens to hit somewhere where it can make it through to you, it's gonna hit things inside the engine. You don't want to have your head up too high, because then of course you can get hit. But you want to kind of find out what's going on, all right? And incidentally, another idea is, if you have a cell phone, instead of you sticking your head out or something like that, you can actually take your cell phone and hold it out a little bit to where you can see the crowd and see what's going on. You can put your cell phone on a camera mode, right, and just kind of stick it up or stick it out. It's still a risk that you can get your hand shot, but that's not taking your life. All right, and then there's a possibility you won't get shot at all. But now you can use your phone to see what's going on. So you can take your phone and lift it up and kind of see where everybody's at, what's going on behind you. Or you can lift it out to the side, all right? You can lift it out to the side and see what's going on this way, all right? So there's some good ideas, some good strategies, some good options as far as you don't want to stick your head out there. You can take, if you got your cell phone with you, take your cell phone and let the cell phone be your eyes, and all right, be your sight, all right? So that's an option there. Now, what I was talking about earlier as well is that you also, when the shots are kind of slow down for a second or two. That might be the only few seconds you have as far as your options to where you can go to next. And like I said, when it comes to people shooting, you want to make sure that you have cover to go to next. You don't want to use concealment per se, but if that's all you have available, you got to always keep in mind that concealment areas or concealment locations will not necessarily stop bullets. So you want to try to find your next best cover area or cover location to go to next, because the whole thing is to get as far away from whatever's going on. In this case of the video, the gunshots, whatever's going on, you want to get as far away from that as possible. All right. And so before I talk about the next concealment location, let's talk about the vehicles. All right. Like I was saying earlier, is that most of your vehicles are not made out of steel. You might have certain parts of the vehicles made out of steel, and some vehicles have more steel in certain areas than others. All right. Now, that might be another thing you want to consider and want to ask if you have your vehicle already, or even if you're considering buying a vehicle, you might want to do some research on that. Where are the steel parts of the vehicle? Because that might be a place where you might end up having to duck at the time, and it's probably not a great big area, because you might have where the frames of the vehicles, all right, the frame of it might be steel, but everything else, windows and all that, won't stop bullets from going through them. So that's another thing to even consider if you're going to buy a car, is to do some research and find out how much steel the car has, or the vehicle that you're buying or thinking about buying, and where are the steel areas. Okay, because that could be kind of your thinking ahead as far as protection is concerned. All right, so that's another point and a thing to look at. So now let's talk about your next cover area. Now, I went over how this building over here could be the next cover area, quite honestly. So I could come from ducking down here. All right, I might use my cell phone to see, okay, what's going on, where's everybody at, where the potential shooters at. And if I can get a good read on where everybody's at, what they're doing, I might say, hey, have my friends with me and say, hey, look, over there, that's where the next cover is. And I can tell them, hey, look, it's up to you when you're going to go, but at a certain time, I'm going to tell you guys go. And whoever goes, we just going to go, and that's going to be the next cover spot. All right, so that might be where the next cover area is. Okay, so that might be the next cover spot to go to, and that would be the next cover spot to run to. And so whenever that time is, I'll let them know, get them prepared mentally, and say, okay, you ready? Go. And then we'll take off, run into the next spot. All right, and it'll be like right around the building there. You have a little cover, so if shots come this way, we're kind of covered that way. And then there's, behind that is like a little shed. There's not much protection as far as stopping bullets, but that might have to be the next area we run to. And then on the other side of that is another set of brick buildings. So we want to get as far away from any of the gunshots that's going on in this particular area, right? Anywhere around this area here. All right, so that's the key. Whenever you might be sitting out talking with your friends, and all of a sudden, pow, 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 pow. While you're talking, here's a key and here's a tip. And we'll go over this in a little bit. As you're talking with friends, not all the time, and everybody's not going to be 100% alert and aware of their surroundings. You're going to have people that's going to be more aware, because I'll be doing talking, like I'm talking to you guys here on the video, and while I'm talking, every now and then, I'm talking and I'm kind of looking around, but then I'm talking back to you again. So act like you're the person I'm talking to, and while I'm talking to you, I'm kind of talking and looking around a little bit, and then I'm back. So while I'm talking to you at this point, I'm not really aware, but at the same time, as you're talking to me, we can kind of cover more ground. So I can kind of cover the areas that's around you and behind you, while I'm talking to you, and likewise, if you're talking to me, you can cover areas that are behind me. You can see what's behind me, all right? And those are some other points and some tips as well. When you're facing each other, that person can be aware of what's going on behind you, and I can be aware of what's going on behind you while I'm talking to you, all right? And so that way, if I see something, and this is another video all in itself, if you're not aware, I see something aware, I can get ready and move you out of the way, and we can kind of go to another place of cover, right? But that's another video. That's more dealing with third-party protection, protecting other people that's with you, kind of like your Secret Service does, your professional close protection specialist type people that got to protect people, or the quote-unquote bodyguard type scenarios, and that's kind of another video. But what I'm talking about more or less is to be able to know what's going on around you, and you know what's going on around me. Or if I'm this more of the aware type, then I'm going to be aware of what's going on around the surroundings, all right? So again, like I said, you have your cover here, which is the vehicle here, ducking down, right? And I might see another place of cover, and so therefore, when I say, hey, let's go, we can go up to the next piece of cover here, all right? Which would be this building here, all right? And so that's another thing to look at and consider. All right, so now let's talk about some key points that I brought up earlier that'll help you guys out. Now, first of all, I want to talk about, or let you know, like I repeated earlier, you have the fight. When you're in a mode, whether you physically have to fight somebody or somebody's attacking you, or you see, or gunshots are ringing out, you have a fight mode, you have a flight mode, and then you have the freeze mode. So somebody's going to be in one of those three, all right? That's one thing to look at. All right, then what you have is you got to consider, when it comes to this particular video that we were talking about today, you got to have your cover and concealment, all right? You guys know that with cover, anything, what you consider to be cover is something that has the capacity or the ability to possibly stop bullets, all right? So you want to always find a cover spot, all right? So keep that in mind. Concealment, it's just when you hide, you got to hide, but it's the likelihood of it stopping bullets is very unlikely, all right? So those are the difference between concealment and cover. So we have cover. We also went over hiding more by the engine block, and then you have the tires as well to protect yourself, all right, when it comes to bullets flying. And also understand that most of the cars today are not built like the old cars back in the days, where a lot of the cars were steel, made out of steel, and you can pretty much hide and cover yourself around any of the vehicles, all right? So nowadays, they're not built that way. So you got to consider that, all right? So keep those things in mind when it comes to you being around in the area where shots start ringing out. It can be at an amusement park. It could be at a club, right? It could be at somebody's house party, which you be inside more, and that's probably another video in itself, but you still can use the same concept even if you're inside of somebody's house and there's a party going on, or in their backyard in the beach. You still can use the same concepts when it comes to cover and concealment. All right, you still use that same mindset, and people still get in those same one of those three modes. You got fight, flight, or freeze, right? So people still can get in those type of modes. So it doesn't matter a particular location you might be at. So you got to keep those things in mind. You got fight, flight, and you got freeze. And you got cover and concealment, all right? Doesn't matter if you, like I said, you inside someone's house, you're at an amusement park where there's roller coasters and things of that sort. You have to be aware. Now, another thing I was talking about was awareness as well. And so you got to keep that in mind. That's another point, awareness. And the other thing was, I just had it on top of my head here. Let me think back. Oh, having an emergency plan, all right, ahead of time. You might be with your girlfriend, boyfriend, your homegirls, your homeboys, family members, and you just might be sitting around watching TV one day, just chilling on a weekend, and say, hey, you might have something planned later on, later on in that month, maybe later on in the year, you might plan to go out of town and say, hey, look, what if we're over here, we're at Coney Island, we at Busch Gardens, we at Disney World, Disneyland, and wherever we're at the time, what happens, what can we do, what should we do if someone starts shooting, all right? And then y'all sit down and discuss it, and right after you discuss it, create a plan, all right? Kind of do a drill about it. Have one person, or have you all pretend like somebody is shooting, you're outside, and pretend you're at the location you're going to be visiting, and create something, figure out an idea what you're going to do, okay? And so those things are options and strategies I suggest to you guys as far as what you can do to protect yourself for situations that happen in this case study, all right? So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate y'all always watching Survive and Protect, and always be or remember to be aware, to wash the hands, and to have a plan, all right? Peace.